All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our XTIVIA live session, Considerations when Choosing a New Database Platform, presented by Paul Navin. My name is Alex Killian, and I'm the video editor and digital media specialist on XTIVIA's marketing team. A little bit about our company. For over 25 years, XTIVIA has established a proven global reputation as a company delivering cutting-edge IT solutions and technology support for our clients' specific requirements, regardless of the complexity of the projects. Our database practice was established in 1999 and has grown ever since. We provide managed services, including support and monitoring, backup and restore, design, installation, migrations, replications, upgrades, health checks, and more. Other service areas we offer include application development, business intelligence, CRM, data warehousing, enterprise information management, and digital experience solutions. XTIVIA has offices in Colorado, New York, New Jersey, Missouri, Texas, Virginia, and India. A little bit about our presenter today. Mr. Navin is a senior IT business development executive providing data management and database support consulting services to clients to create and implement strategic business solutions. His work has included a variety of industries, including IT, telecom, manufacturing, finance, banking, oil and gas, and engineering. And he's acknowledged as a strategic thinker, able to spot industry trends and then assemble the tactical services necessary to meet those needs. We are also joined today on this live session by Kat Long, our SQL Server lead DBA and delivery manager. She is responsible for the architecture design, installation, configuration, and management of a wide variety of SQL Server databases for multiple clients. And Kat has more than 20 years of experience with SQL Server. She's a member of PASS, as well as part of the local SQL Server community in Colorado Springs. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Paul. If any questions come up during Paul's presentation here, please submit them in the Q&A section or comment on our YouTube live stream, and we'll do our best to answer those at the end of this live session. Take it away, Paul.
All right, thanks, Alex. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another XTIVIA live session. It's another cold, windy, cloudy spring day here in Colorado as spring and winter continue to wrestle each other, and we're going to see who wins this week. As Alex said, my name is Paul Navin, and for the past several years, I've helped our customers by providing database support services, and these support services provide a managed services approach to assure that your database is running at its peak efficiency. But for those who are just starting out and trying to select a new database, that's what this session is intended to share some information with you about. And trying to select a database utilizing the latest technology for your applications, how do you select the right database platform? What do you need to consider? What do you need to in order to make the best technology choice? And we'll talk about that in this live session. And then we'll leave time for questions at the end of the presentation. So a couple of different things as we talk about this area. And in my research, making sure that I came up with information, I was amazed that as I read articles out there, how biased they were towards one solution or another. And as I read through them, I realized that they were probably representing a specific type of database platform out there. So you have to be really careful when you're doing that type of research, that you're working with someone who is either agnostic or unbiased, or is talking about a number of different types of solutions, specifically depending upon your needs. So again, a little bit more information around XTIVIA and who we are. As Alex indicated, we were founded in 1992. We're based out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we employ And now over 350 people worldwide. We just completed another acquisition here a few weeks ago. Our database practice was established in 1999, so for over 19 years now, we've been supporting customers around the country on their database platforms. And we now support SQL Server, Oracle, IBM's DB2 and Informix, MySQL, Postgres, as well as MongoDB platforms. And we provide managed services that can include just a variety of different types of support and monitoring. It could include backups and restores, design, installations, migrations, replications, upgrades, health checks, and really so much more. Really anything database related are areas that we can help you out with. We also like to, for those who are starting out, help you in developing the database architecture design, and can provide you with consulting services around that. So we have about 140 customers now across the country. We monitor over 400 databases, database instances, and those customers run everything from a mom and pop shop to the largest retailer in the country. We also are involved in many enterprise, legacy, mission critical types of applications. I like to tell people I've got airlines that we monitor databases that if they aren't up and running, the airline can't push an airplane back from the gate. So we get involved in all kinds of different areas when it comes to supporting our customers' database platforms. We offer onshore as well as hybrid support solutions on some platforms, which means that we do have some offshore capabilities, but our value proposition for many years has been centered around providing onshore database support services. But sometimes customers are more sensitive about prices, so we have the ability to provide a hybrid approach as well. And as Alex mentioned, we have offices in Colorado, Missouri, Texas, New Jersey, New York, and Virginia. I'm sitting in Denver, which is kind of our western outpost, if you will. So what's the value that I want to get from my information? Selecting the right operational database today requires an understanding of the type of data that you'll be working with, so you can define a data strategy that aligns with your business. So those are all important aspects to consider. Some of the things that you want to think about in selecting a database is, what's the value I want to get from my information? What's the right tools for the job, in other words? A database is a solution that is very difficult to replace later on if you should decide that you've chosen the wrong database, or a database that's not going to be able to grow, or a database that's not going to be able to fit your needs as the business grows and changes. So you need to decide what information you want to organize and how you'll use it, how you'll access it. Obviously, your decision can depend on your budget, the size of your organization, and how the database is going to be used. There are a number of different types of databases for different purposes, and there's actually hundreds, maybe even thousands of different types of databases. Some of them are very boutique, very specialized, designed for specific applications, designed for specific industries and things like that. But off the top, typically the relational database is one you've probably heard of and is very common out there. An operational database, databases around data warehouses, so that you can have one source of the truth in your organization when it comes to working with your data. There's distributed databases, and then of course end user databases, which might be something as simple as an Access database from Microsoft. So you also need to be thinking about, who's going to be using this database solution. Will it be sales? Will it be operations, so accounting and finance? Customer service? Will a call center be accessing that database, which means that you're going to have very quick read and write capabilities on that database. You're going to have to be able to get to that data very quickly if you're in a customer service environment, or perhaps it's for marketing. And marketing is always interested in knowing as much as they can about their customers, so that's an important aspect as well. budget and return on investment. Sometimes it's really hard to measure the return on investment, but you need to establish a budget so you know what's out there. Prices vary all over. You can spend as little as a few $100s all the way up to millions of dollars on some of the largest, more complex databases. And you need to understand the pricing differences and the implications between database products that are under evaluation, and particularly the total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership means not only what's it going to cost you to purchase it, but what's it going to cost you to continue to maintain it and support it. Many database and other applications are now sold on an annual subscription basis, which means that each year you're going to have to pay a fee in order to maintain the maintenance and support so that you can get bug fixes and upgrades and things like that from the particular vendor. So all of those costs begin to add up. It's sort of short-term versus long-term costs. Now, there's also free community databases out there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But, you know, like everything else, nothing is really always free, and that's particularly true when you choose a database platform, even a free community database, because you still need to continue to be able to support it and maintain it, and have the people who are familiar with it, who can manage it and make sure that it's operating effectively. There are other things like database as a service, such as RDS or Microsoft Azure, or are you going to have an on-premise traditional database server that you're going to need to be responsible for supporting and maintaining. You're going to have cost of the server and the hardware as well as storage. So how will you measure your return on your investment from your database solution? You need to develop some measurements and then be able to measure that performance as well, and be able to assure that the database is going to continue to provide you with the capabilities that you're going to need as your business grows. For many of you, you may be just starting out. You may have a small business. You may be a startup. And so you want to make sure that these decisions that you make at the front end are going to be long-lasting and work well for you. We get questions from customers many times saying, well, what kind of database should I use? What kind of technology should I look at? And many times that boils down to what's your current environment. So if you're currently a Microsoft environment, you're using a number of other Microsoft applications or Microsoft-based applications, then something like SQL Server might be a good match because it's going to leverage the knowledge that you already have. You're going to find some things that are going to be very similar in terms of other Microsoft-type applications. So, and this could be the same, could be true with Oracle and IBM databases as well. Some of the more common database platforms include Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, IBM's DB2, as well as IBM Informix. And again, when you read articles out there, you kind of have to be careful because you'll find that people are really, talking about one particular type of database or another. So any information that you can get that'll give you a broad spectrum, depending upon what your needs are, is valuable information. There's also open source database platforms. And by open source, I mean that they're community editions of databases that have been developed and are supported by the community. And they're awesome databases. Matter of fact, the three that I have listed here, MySQL, Postgres, and MongoDB, are state-of-the-art, very, very intelligent and very good database platforms to work with. All three of them come with enterprise editions. And by enterprise editions, I mean that they're editions that provide additional capabilities. There's additional benefits to the enterprise editions that you won't get with the free community editions. And it also provides you with vendor support as opposed to just community support. which means you don't need to necessarily go out searching for answers with the community and hoping you're going to get a response from somebody who takes up your problem. Instead, you're going to be able to work with the vendor and get your help and support, bug fixes and things like that from them. But it's also going to cost you money for those enterprise editions. So the other thing to consider is, do you need a relational database or what's now called NoSQL type databases? So a NoSQL database or a non-relational database is typically fits very well into, or doesn't fit very well into the traditional rows and columns, which is what the relational database does very well. If you want to store documents, XML, tweets, web content, emails, or other kinds of metadata, unstructured data, things like that, then a database with NoSQL might be the best choice. And many of these, as I said, are state-of-the-art databases and very, very popular out there. Particularly MySQL and Postgres. MongoDB is a little bit newer technology than the other two. But we get calls so many times from people who started out with a MySQL database, and now it's become a mission-critical database. Many times we get the call that, hey, our database has crashed, and we need help to try to get it up and restore it. And many times we find out that people, because it's been running so well and they haven't had any problems with it, they haven't been doing any backups or anything like that. And oftentimes we're in a position where we're trying to figure out if there's any way that we can pull that database back up and be able to preserve the data, or whether they've lost everything, unfortunately. So choosing the best database for your application, the structure of your data, decide how you want to store it and then be able to retrieve it. And how much data are you going to be storing? The quantity of the data that needs to be stored and retrieved is critical when you're dealing with applications, particularly if those applications require a great deal of storage, and you need to rapidly be able to retrieve it. And that ends up around the speed and scalability. How fast do you need to read the data from the database or be able to write to the database? Customer service or call center type applications are particularly critical in that respect. Accessibility of the data, know how many users will be concurrently accessing the database and the level of computation that's going to be involved. So you're going to be doing a lot of big number crunching that is going to require a lot of computational capabilities and things like this. Data modeling will help you in terms of identifying what those entities are and what their associated attributes are, and then the entity relationships that you'll need in order to set up that database. So what else to do? Well, particularly you need to be able to form a strategic plan, a strategy complete with your financials that illustrates the scope of the software your enterprise really needs to support its operational objectives. And then just determine what information you want to organize and how you use it and access it. So again, going back to creating a budget, who will be using the database, and who's going to be maintaining it. That's something that that XTIVIA is capable of helping you with as well, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. My suggestion is you first of all deal with a partner that you can trust, someone that you can have confidence in, who has a great deal of depth and breadth around implementing and supporting database platforms. I'd go out and ask for very tailored product demos so that you can really see how something like that's going to work in your environment. Maybe you do a POC or a proof of concept so that you can actually test the database with your use case in your environment. So that's always very helpful. So you need sort of a slow, methodical, planned process to be able to select the right database and make sure that you've chosen the right technology for your particular needs. And then maybe you do a phased implementation approach around putting that database in place and getting it up and running. Always, counterparts in a similar industry are always good reference points, so that you can get some inside information about how a database works, how easy it is to support, what's the cost of the ownership, and various aspects like that perhaps others can share with you. And then you need to continue to build on those success measures. Whether you have internal staff or are looking for third parties to support you, those are other things that you'll need to consider. We can help. This is exactly what we do. But again, going back to who's going to be using the database, whether you're going to have business users or IT users. Obviously, business users are going to have less technology knowledge, and they're going to want it to be simple and easy to use, and very quick to be able to access as well as write to. Again, determining what resources are going to be able to support the database, whether that's internal support or a third party. You can hire a DBA as a full-time employee, or you can look at outsourcing it and utilizing a third party to provide you with that type of help. Again, our recommendation is always to work with a database partner with experience and knowledge of the various database options, and make sure that you have a good case for the type of database that you want to select. And again, going back to requesting product demos and proof of concepts and things like that. And then training. Training is so important. And we always say train, train, train. You can never get enough training to be able to have the knowledge and information that you need to make sure that you have a database that's going to operate efficiently, and you're going to get the maximum benefit from whatever it is you decide to select. So you can certainly give us a call. We're very capable and interested in helping you out and doing what we can to make sure that you make the right selection. So that's just a quick overview. Obviously, there's a lot more to learn and a lot more information to be gained before you make that selection, and we'd certainly be interested in helping you out. So I'll open it up for questions now, Alex, if we have anybody who may have some questions based on what we've talked about.
Yes, absolutely. We've got some questions coming in. All right, let's see. First, what sets XTIVIA apart as someone to help with choosing a new database platform?
All right, well, that's a good question. First of all, of course, our 19 years of experience or whatever it is, and helping customers to implement and then support their database platforms. We have a team of DBAs on all of the different platforms that we support, and they're all senior DBAs, probably 10 years plus of experience. And they've kind of been there, done that, have worked with a variety of different types of problems and issues. So, and we can also do mentoring or training. Many times we have customers looking over our shoulder as we're working with them to fix problems, or maybe we're looking over their shoulder showing them how to fix a problem or how to provide support to that database. So those are some of the areas that we work with. One of the things that we do that's a little bit different is we don't have a call tree here at XTIVIA when it comes to support. So if we're working with you and you need help, you pick up the phone or you email us or text us or whatever you need to in order to get to your designated DBA in order to be able to get the help that you need. So those are some things that are unique about us that we've been very successful with over the years. Our DBAs are primarily located in Colorado Springs, although we do have a few that are scattered around the country remotely. And then, as I mentioned too, we do have the ability to provide a hybrid approach, which means that we tap some offshore resources that are employed by XTIVIA to provide some of that routine type of support. So those are some of the things that I would highlight that are unique about XTIVIA and the work that we do.
All right, awesome. Thanks for that, Paul. Another question we have, why would I want to pay for database software these days?
I'm sorry, say that again, why?
Why would I want to pay for database software these days?
Yeah, good question. Goes back to my comment earlier about there's nothing free in life, and particularly with databases, because that's going to be able to provide you with the type of vendor support when it comes to bug fixes, new software releases, upgrades, other issues that can come up with a database. There are free community editions out there, but again, you're going to be dependent on working with the community who supports that database to give you the help that you need. By paying for that support, you're probably going to have an SLA, which means that a vendor is going to be required to respond to you within a certain period of time. Here at XTIVIA, we have a 30-minute SLA, so we're going to be reaching back out to you if you contact us with regards to a problem. Whereas with the community, it could be hours, could be days, could be weeks for that matter before you're going to get a response, depending upon the type of problem that you have. But particularly if you expect this to be mission critical, then you really need to have vendor support or third-party support to make sure that that database stays up and running.
All right, I think that answers it. Another question. Can you help us figure out licensing?
Yeah, good question. Another good question. Yes, absolutely. We have a great deal of experience with licensing, and have worked with customers all the time in helping them figure out what types of licenses they need, how many licenses they need, how many concurrent users they're going to have will indicate the number of licenses that they might need. And in addition to that, on the IBM side of things, we're an IBM Platinum Business Partner, and so we do a lot of work with providing new software licenses, as well as renewals for our IBM customers when they're utilizing databases such as DB2 or Informix. So that's something that we can definitely help you with in determining what's the appropriate license level for your organization.
All right. And I think we have time for one more question here. Can XTIVIA help us move to a new platform? Yeah,
you want to throw that over to Kat, and Kat, you want to respond to that? How we help companies move from one platform to another?
Yeah, sure. We actually spend quite a bit of our time helping different customers migrate either from maybe a DB2 environment over to SQL Server, and an Informix environment over to SQL Server. We've helped customers actually realize that maybe one of the more enterprise level database platforms is not quite right for them. So we help them migrate either from like Oracle or SQL Server over to a MySQL or a Postgres environment. So we have a really good communication between the different teams, and we all understand what our softwares do. So we know the best way to be able to help migrate the customers back and forth depending on their needs.
Yeah, we seems like we're getting more and more requests to move to NoSQL type of environments. We've had a few here just recently of companies who want to move to Postgres, or who are gradually going through a process of replacing whatever platform they might be on and moving over to a Postgres database platform. Thanks, Kat.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Kat and Paul. With that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this live session. Thank you all so much for joining us. Once again, please don't hesitate to reach out to Paul or Kat if you have any further questions about what was discussed today. And this live session will be available on our YouTube channel immediately following this. So thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.